Shae Russell from mining.com.au, and joining me today is Philippa Leggat, the Managing Director of Critica. Philippa, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you too, Shae. Nice to be back in the new year with some good news.
It certainly is. And for everybody joining us, Philippa, I've brought you on today so we could talk about the Jupiter Rare Earths project out in Western Australia, a clay-hosted rare earth project, which is quite rare in Australia. But first and foremost, let's talk about the announcement that came out today on the 23rd of January. I'm looking at numbers that say an 830% rare earth upgrade. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's our first Met announcement, right? So people have been waiting for this going. You're drilling wonderful high grades in situ. It's enormous. You've got phenomenal infrastructure. So commercialisation potential gets a huge tick. But what's going to happen with the Met? So this is our first foray into helping people understand what we've managed to achieve at a first pass level with beneficiating our mineralization, because that has been our aim as a first step. Because we're dealing with this enormous volume, we're trying to reduce that volume and concentrate the grades simultaneously. So the 830% uplift is effectively, it's 9.3 times, but effectively 10 times upgrade. So I'm less concerned about the grade of the mineralization because we've chosen really representative samples of a broad swathe of mineralization. Most people find one sample with their very highest grade and kind of go, let's push this as hard as we can. And we didn't do that. We wanted to make sure that if you're going to bother to have a project this size, that you've got something that is that people can trust as an answer because it actually is credible. So we've used 7 holes of broadly representative mineralization across the deposit or across the area of Jupiter, and we're very excited by this upgrade. It's far higher than we expected. The other thing there that I think is possibly going to be missed by people is the mass reduction. So we've taken 95% of the material out as gangue. And so that's the waste. There are no rare earths in there. So what you're looking at is an overall mass reduction of 95%. So that's your tonnage reduced down to basically 5% of whatever tonnage it is that you're processing, right? So that means as you move forwards, you need far fewer reagents because they don't have to cover the whole of that enormous volume of material, massive material. So it's very encouraging that we can see that because it bodes well for future economics, and that's really what's driving this conversation. How quickly and cost effectively can we reduce the mass and upgrade the grade? And we're very comfortable that both of things have happened in what is absolutely first pass metallurgical test work. This is ongoing. We are still looking for the best collectors because this is flotation work, and we've done it at ambient temperature too, room temperature, right? So there's no heating, there's no trying to push the envelope here. It's let's keep it plain vanilla and see what happens, and the response frankly is a lot higher than we anticipated, so that's really encouraging as a starting point.
You've certainly taken a methodical approach here. What made you take this direction?
Well, it's back to the scale, the grade, and the location of the project within an existing and very strategic mining hub. So if you've got something of this scale, we believe with that kind of commercialization potential, it deserves the opportunity to be treated with respect. That means scientific rigor. A lot of people, unfortunately, in the space have sort of jumped ahead to try and get the quick and easy wins and hope the market responds. In the long term, though, that tends to mean you burn up a lot of shareholder capital because it always falls apart somewhere down the track. It's usually closer to financing, and what happens is this work has to be done again later, usually by another company.
Philippa, finally, we've nearly run out of time today. Obviously, the year has just begun. But what are some key milestones investors can look for?
Well, straight after this, we're looking forward to our resource announcement, our maiden resource. We said we'd get that out by the middle of February, and we're on track to do that. So certainly that'll give us something to contextualize this information. We've now got a bit of MET so that we can actually demonstrate we're seeing pathways through, and that work is ongoing. And we've got 5 different labs working on this, right? There's a lot happening. So our resource coming out will give us the ability to say it's specifically X as opposed to it's very large and very high grade. So we're obviously also going to look at some of those higher grade components or higher grade areas in the mineralisation as we move forwards with the Met too. So there'll be a fair amount of news flow coming forwards, but obviously the resource is the big one for the moment.
Listen, Philippa, thank you so much for today's conversation. I can't wait to see what comes next.
Thanks, Shae.